Just wanted to say before the video starts, this is a part 2 to the Imallexx video I made a few days back because I forgot to include the other ex-girlfriends because I didn't have enough time to include them. So, enjoy this. Thank you. Hey guys, Bella Bauhaus here. Just wanted to say this is a part 2 to the original Imallexx video that I had made because basically I did not have enough time to cover the other ex-girlfriend's accusations, specifically Annie and Jess's accusations, but in this video we'll be getting to that. So let's just get into it. So I don't like to ask this, but could you please subscribe? Because I want to hit 50 subscribers so I can start live streaming and stuff. And I think it'd be pretty cool if I hit 50. By at least 14th of August, which is my birthday. So that would be a pretty nice birthday present. Anyways, thanks, we'll get into the video now. Before I obviously show the messages or the notes or statement of Jess, I just want to say courtesy of Nicholas Diorio for archiving these since Jess's account is on private now. So thank you, Nicholas Diorio, for having these archived. Okay. Right, can you hear me? Good. Right, let's do this again because I'm a fucking dumbass and accidentally deleted this. Let's see here. Specific names won't be mentioned, but most can assume anyway. Whoever is currently in a relationship where your partner is heavily one-sided, guilt trips you, or puts you down, please get out. I know it's hard to think of wanting to leave, but I can assure you it's for the best. The start of my last relationship was everything I had wanted at the time. I was already living my best life, so things were only improving. The guy was super lovely and sweet to me, always cared and went the extra mile, but something had changed not too long into the relationship. It felt like he was keeping things away from me, which is obvious you tell your partner. I mean, I would have in that situation. There came a time his ex came back into the picture like anyone, and like anyone I had a horrible gut feeling when they met up, and she ended up going to his flat, went out clubbing with him and some mates, all of which I had to find out through social media. Nothing from him. I'd already made it apparent it made me uncomfortable, them two being together, but his response was, when I wasn't happy, was, I didn't think it was a big deal. And I had to be friends with her for work. Anything I'd say was met with an excuse. No, sorry, I'll tell you next time, or anything. So I had to push how I felt aside and watch them on calls every night and talk all the time. Shortly afterwards, he broke up with me as he was planning on moving elsewhere, and he said the last 6 months were the worst of his life and how nothing good has happened. I was devastated and spent countless nights crying myself to sleep because at the time, I genuinely loved this guy and I'd do anything for him, and it hurt a lot that I couldn't make him happy. I made one tweet during this breakup that I saw a good-looking guy in the gym, and he flips out at me saying I'm a liar for telling him I'd wait for him and would only like him, and he doesn't ever want to be with me again. I broke down at work, crying on the phone to him, trying to apologize and say how genuine I was when I said I'd happily wait for him. All I did was make a tweet about someone being attractive. Eventually he agreed to let me come and see him, and we started back up again as he said he was sorry for getting angry because he missed me. He said he never moved in the end, so I'm glad to experience those awful nights wondering why I wasn't good enough anymore for no reason. Hang on, let me just get a drink. For no reason. One night he went out and left his laptop with me. I looked through some of the messages and he was a lot closer with his ex than he let on. He would tell her his problems, but to me he didn't want to drag me down or get me involved. He'd also messaged a girl complimenting her ass, but me tweeting someone was attractive was the end of the world. I never mentioned this to him because I knew it would cause an argument. I could never win with him. As time went on, anything bothered me, I'd tell him, and I'd just be met with a load of messages that started with I'm too busy, I don't have time for this, I'm not happy, I've got other things to worry about, the list goes on. He would always get angry at me, saying my feelings. Looking at him, he's not a scary person, but behind the scenes, he scared me. When I was angry at this point, my feelings felt pretty much invalid, and I knew I couldn't go to him about anything. I still did though. Whenever he upset me, I'd tell him, and I was met with the same response countless times. He'd reverse the situation and play the victim, to which I'd stop being upset and feel sympathy for him. I was always there for him with advice and help, but he was never there for me. One time he told me he was feeling really down, so I drove 3 hours in the middle of the night to see him, yet when I told him I was down, I got met something with like, I'm working. Sorry. For my 22nd, I spent the majority of my birthday alone watching The Walking Dead, as he was in bed all day, but I can't be upset at that because his excuse was being depressed. I picked out flowers as a present for him and he bought me some Jaffa cakes, which I later got told they were meant for both of us. I'm not one to compare gifts as I love to give, but I took this guy to a 5-star hotel for his 21st, and he couldn't even organise something nice for us to do on mine. There are situations where he's been pure evil, telling me he hates my friends. During an argument about how I felt uncomfortable being sat next to a male Uber driver who was touching himself at times and kept staring at me and my friends, was simply saying they wouldn't let me sit in the front, period. He sat in the back just so he could talk to his friend, and I became invisible. He blamed me for not telling him sooner. However, if he had paid attention to me as a person, he would know I have social anxiety and find confrontation, especially that kind, really difficult to deal with. He told me that he hates fat people, and then went on to jokingly call me fat when he knew I wasn't happy with my weight. I feel lucky that my depression doesn't get in the way of making others happy. No matter how bad I get, I can always make sure others are okay. Now I know not everyone has that same mindset. He struggled with his own mental health issues. He broke up with me on Valentine's Day this year after I sent him a text saying it doesn't feel like he appreciates me / loves me anymore, which he blames for breaking up with him, which I didn't. He gave me excuses on why he couldn't do this anymore. Again, I'm too busy, I'm working, etc. Sorry. I even booked time off just to spend it with him. Told him the dates and he never bothered to arrange to see each other. Again, too busy for me. But he told me he wasn't going to go out for drinks with a friend. However, that translates to just going to Asda. So he had to go at me saying I don't allow him to just go shopping with his mate. What triggered the message was him saying he was going out for drinks after saying he has no time for me. The fact I had to see his own friends with their girlfriends and seeing them make time for one another hurt like hell. His excuse for that was they do that because they aren't as passionate about their job as he is. They waste their time, and he never came to see me because that took away too many days where he could have been working instead. This made me feel like I didn't deserve his time or was even worth his time. Going on from Valentine's Day, I was obviously upset it was over, but I was able to manage it pretty easily at first. I'd try and talk to him, but he'd rarely respond. It wasn't until COVID hit that my own mental health crumbled more, and I had to watch people pass away every day in April. This is when I really needed him around. Not that he ever was anyway. It got to such a point where I was sat in my car on the verge of not wanting to be alive anymore when I needed to speak to someone. I called him, and in the end he turned his phone off and didn't answer because he couldn't be bothered to talk to me for days after I was having a breakdown every day and just wanted to talk to him. I still struggle to understand why he broke up with me, as the only thing that changed in his life was getting rid of me. He didn't get rid of anyone else. Apparently getting rid of me was supposed to make his life better, yet his friends were the ones who got under his skin, and they're still around to this day. Eventually he blocked my number. I would see him on social media talking to everyone and anyone, calling random girls he's never talked about before, and when I pointed it out that he could talk to them but not to me, he kicked off saying that's basically me trying to tell him he can't have friends. All I wanted to know was why I wasn't allowed the time of day, but this other new girl was. He'd be more than happy to talk about her mental state, but not mine. Anything I'd bring up after the breakup, I was yet again met with, and I'm depressed, I'm busy, I could do what I want. I don't need this. For someone who'd constantly remind me he had depression and used it against me, he never took my mental state into consideration. I could have gone to a certain person about this situation, but he threatened me, saying if I went to a said person, I'd have no chance of ever being with him again. Well, now, I don't ever want to be with you anymore. I don't see why people can't know now. The only leverage he has now gone. This guy made me feel completely worthless, self-conscious, and gave me such a lack of trust in people that it's taken me back how much my current partner is understanding and willing to help me overcome my depression. He's literally having to deal with the damage my ex caused. There's so much to it that I could go on for page after page, but these are the main points that stick out for me right now. No doubt if he catches wind of this, I'll get accused of lying, or he'll just shout at me like he used to. I told him he was mentally abusive and he said, "Don't go throwing that around. I'd like to have full closure on our relationship, but I know he will never admit to how selfish and cruel he was. So this is all I can do. I have a lot of friends who have seen the text and heard voice notes from him, and don't worry, they don't like it either and will back this." Okay, this is the updated thing, the updated notes app thing. Okay, let's do this. From November 2018 to February 2020, I was in an on and off relationship with Alex. As everyone seems to experience, the first few months up to a year were as you'd expect with a brand new relationship. I can't speak much now, as 4 years later I have suppressed these memories and don't tend to think back on that time. I had made a statement in 2020 for my own personal closure and didn't expect it to go anywhere but just exist. I really wanted to reach out to someone, but I knew I didn't have the evidence because I deleted our message to try and get over the breakup. Or delete our messages and try to get over the breakup. I've included my original statements alongside a Facebook message between Alex and my friend during an insomnia event where he thought I wasn't in our hotel room. He'd left to go see Slazo before the accusations, and I had woken up to banging at the door to said friend, showing me this message and saying Alex was looking for me. I was in the bed next to him and he just hadn't bothered to look. When confronted, he laughed about it, and I told him to never say that about me again. Whilst I'm thankful I'm now in a position where my current partner has helped me heal through the damage Alex has caused my heart. Alex has caused my heart. My heart breaks for Alice, having gone through so much worse and still dealing with the consequences. She deserves nothing but peace and happiness here on out. Nothing she's done will justify his actions toward her. Here are the messages on Facebook. Yo, where's Jess? For fuck's sake, I'm very angry. At bar. I'm gonna kick her head in. Now I'm locked out. Might kill her. Might actually kill her. And that's that. Sorry for stammering so much. But yeah. Okay, with Annie's statement, I've just decided to just read it. I'll link the document down below so you can read it. So I've just decided I'll just put it as an audio. But I'll have everything linked down in the description. So yeah. Here we go with Annie's statement. Okay. Are we ready? Good. This is Annie's statement. Let's just let this load. My experience with Imallexx. Though we never confirmed it to the public because I personally like keeping my relationships private, I dated Alex from June 2017 till March 2018. It was the most toxic relationship I've ever been in, and I was lucky to get out of it when I did. When we were dating, though he was from England and I lived in America, we were pretty much never apart for longer than a week. We stayed in Europe for a couple of months, then went to America for 6 months. He couldn't stay 6 months straight due to visa implications, so he stayed 3 months, flew back to England for a few days, then came back to America for another 3 months. After the 6 months was over and he couldn't come to America again for a while due to visa requirements, we spent some time away from each other, and during that time, with help of my friends, I came to the realization that I was in the worst and most toxic relationship I've ever been in, and I had to get out. It started off great, as they always do, the honeymoon phase as they call it, but as time went on, things just got worse and worse. I was fortunate to get out when I did, but reading all the new information that's come out, it's clear he's gotten worse. Or clearly he's gotten worse. During the relationship, he made me feel insane, like I wasn't myself anymore. It never felt like he listened to me. I always felt belittled and inferior. Whenever we recorded videos together, he would constantly talk over me and never let me have my moment. Most of the time when I had problems, he always somehow made it about himself or talked about his own issues. He would get stressed over his YouTube channel constantly and complain about uploading as if it's the hardest job on the planet, and no one has it harder than him. His classic line was, "I can't catch a fucking break." If we ever had a disagreement, he would also sometimes allude to the possibility of ending himself over minor conflicts as a threat. So I couldn't continue with the conversation. It was nearly impossible to give him any kind of criticism, because it was like adding to the pile of minor issues that he had already blown far out of proportion in his head. Another thing he did was spin his own narrative and twist words. He didn't just do this in the relationship, but he did it in his work and with his friends. It's the main reason why many people stopped talking to him, because we started to realize that when there was the smallest amount of drama and he heard about it, he would make sure to involve himself, even if the subject had absolutely nothing to do with him, and he would just make everything so much worse. For example, the Slazo situation. Though it was never said in the original statements by Shay, he somehow came to the conclusion that it was RAPE, and everyone got the blame for saying his words. Somehow the situation went from being guilty of a bad boyfriend to all of a sudden he's an RAPIST. This was the final nail in the coffin, and I cut all contact with him afterwards. During our relationship, I bought him and I matching Alex and Annie bracelets for Valentine's Day because I thought, oh, a neat company with both our names. You can see him pressing on the heart of the bracelet to the back of his lips in his Back to Nothing video, which he has since taken down from his channel. I would start at 4 minutes. I'll also attach the video in case the link gets removed. The video was released as a response to me breaking up with him. He uploaded this video after I stopped talking to him as a way of trying to guilt trip me into replying to him. He did to me what he has done in his relationship with Alice, where he would fly off the handle and get mad and then act all apologetic and sad and try to get me to feel sorry for him and forgive everything he had said and done. Lastly, the only time he had ever laid a finger on me was when he grabbed me as I was trying to run away from a conflict. We were trying to record a YouTube video together, and when he was getting frustrated at having to restart the recording multiple times, he started shouting and beating his fist on the table, even going as far to break his microphone. I was scared, so I got up to leave the room, which is when he grabbed my arm to physically stop me. I remember saying, "You grabbed my arm," several times in shock, as if to say, who the fuck would ever grab someone like that? Once again, I was fortunate that this was the only time something like that ever happened. I got out before it got even worse, as it clearly has with the new information that's come out. It saddens me that it's all come this far. I wish Alice the best privately, and it breaks my heart to have seen all these things that she had gone through. I hope Alice's and my story shows you what he was really like behind the scenes. If you're in an abusive relationship, get out now. You cannot fix them. Horrific. It's genuinely horrifying to put up with this man, and it's clear no one should ever be in a relationship with him. So yeah. Thank you all for watching this. I just want to apologise for having to split this up into 2 parts because, well, my phone does not have enough storage in it anymore. So I've had to split this into 2 parts. It should have all been 1 part, so I do apologise for that. Also, I just wanted to say, I've started up a Discord as well, so if you want to, you can join. I'll have it linked in the description. So yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video whenever that will be. Goodbye.